up and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am your fat and opinionated host, and what we're looking at right now is a memorial that was recently set up for Gabby Petito not too far from Brian Laundrie's residence. And as we look at this scene, I can't help but feel heartbroken, but also feel this sense that frustration is starting to rise in this case. Not just the frustration that we all feel on the outside looking in, patiently waiting for Brian to be caught and brought to justice, but the frustration that people feel within Gabby's own community, the people who live close to Brian Laundrie's family, the frustration of law enforcement that are involved in this case. You just feel and you get the sense that frustration is just starting to rise all around the board. I don't know about you all, but the past few days and even week or so since this case started, it's just been really tense. It's been weighing heavily on my mind a lot lately. And if it's weighing so heavily on my mind, some guy that lives miles and miles away, that doesn't know anyone from this family, doesn't know anyone involved, imagine the people who are living right next door. Imagine the people that are in this community. Imagine the people who knew Brian or knew Gabby. Imagine being a neighbor who can't even come outside of their own home without police sitting outside and reporters. And I've heard reports that some of the neighbors, when they want to leave their house and go somewhere just to run errands, that some of the police out there are searching their cars and different things like that. And you just get this sense that the pressure is rising. We now know that Gabby's death has been ruled a homicide. And the search for Brian just keeps going on and on and on. And as the hours and days pass, the frustration just keeps getting thicker. And I made this point earlier in a previous video on another channel, that I feel like we're going to start seeing the pressure rise in this case. I feel like the kid gloves are about to start coming off. The FBI and law enforcement, I feel like they know a little bit more than they're letting all of us know. And I gotta imagine that after days and days of searching in this preserve for Brian, they're starting to get frustrated as well. And I'm not sure if they keep wasting these resources on this preserve because they know for a fact that something is there, or if they're just doing it because they know that they dropped the ball originally, and this is basically the only legit tip they have. So they're just trying to make a scene of it to show everyone that we're trying, when really they know that they dropped the ball because they should have had eyes on Brian to begin with. But as I just said, the frustration in this case is rising, and I think that we're going to start seeing more and more pressure put on Brian Laundrie's family and put on Brian Laundrie's lawyer. This memorial for Gabby isn't the only memorial that's popping up. In fact, people are traveling for miles and miles. People who have no idea who Gabby's family was. They didn't know of Gabby before this case. But they're so compelled by this case that they're traveling for hours just to come down here and post pictures of Gabby and Brian Laundrie's front lawn. And as we look at this scene and look at these pictures of Gabby that are posted in his front lawn, you get the idea that the public is starting to apply pressure now as well. If law enforcement wasn't applying enough pressure on this family, the general public will. The community will. And that, I feel like, is going to be key to solving this case. Because Brian's family could act as cold and callous as they want to. They could try to calculate their every move. But pressure busts pipes. And when you have law enforcement pressing you 24/7, and you now have the general public pressing you 24/7, it's going to be hard not to say something. It's going to be hard not to talk. And in the days going forward, I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more from law enforcement. Like I've mentioned in previous videos on my other channel, Cinema Shogun, I feel like there's some psychological games being played here right now. We know that yesterday that there was supposedly this false alarm of shots fired at the Brian Laundrie residence. And I have a theory that that was really not a false alarm at all, but just a way of the police using an excuse to pop up on Brian Laundrie's parents and apply pressure, to catch them off guard, to throw them off their game, to keep psychologically applying pressure until they talk, until they break. Often in interrogation rooms, they'll take you into a cold interrogation room and leave you there for hours and hours until you just become tired and weary and frustrated, because they know then you're more likely to say something, then you're more likely to break. And I feel like that is what we're seeing here right now. Don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful memorial. And I'm so happy to see that other people are showing up to leave these different things for Gabby. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful sight to see. But I also feel like there's more of a message here. There's more of a sense here that this whole community wants to see Brian found. The whole world at this point wants to see Brian found. And I feel like it's a good idea that people are starting to apply pressure. What we're seeing right now is a huge game of chess being played between Brian's family and Brian's lawyer and law enforcement and the general public. And in the days coming forward, we're going to start seeing both sides make little moves across the board. And this is going to lead up to one of the biggest, craziest cases of all time if they do find Brian. So you might want to be subscribed because I plan on following this case every step of the way. Every step of the way until Brian gets caught. And once Brian gets caught, I'm going to follow this case every step of the way until he is behind bars. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, drop your opinions, drop your theories. I'm interested in hearing all of them. Hit that like button. But for now, I'm signing off. But remember, always remain opinionated.